welcome back to The Law Process.
With me, Jay.
And me, Grace. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe.
In today's video, we'll be explaining what a cookie is, where your personal data is going every time you accept a cookie, and whether you should keep accepting them.
So let's start with what a cookie is. A cookie is a small text file put onto your computer when you access certain websites.
Yes, the best way to describe a typical type of cookie is to imagine that every time you go into a store, a tag is put on you that monitors the different aisles you go down and the different items that you put into your basket. Cookies work in the same way. Every time you go onto a website and accept a cookie, a unique ID is created that represents you as a user and is put onto your device.
So typically they contain two pieces of information, a site name and a unique user ID.
So why do websites use cookies? Most websites use more than one type of cookie to carry out different functions. For example, some websites use cookies to enable their website to function efficiently. The cookie will allow you to do things such as log in to a website. This is called a strictly necessary cookie.
Cookies can also be used to monitor the amount of visitors they are getting from their website.
Websites can also use cookies to track your preferences. For example, when you visit a website for the first time and change the language or layout, this preference will then be saved for the next time you visit the website. This is known as a functionality cookie.
Another reason why some websites use cookies is to track your activities and later on target ads at you. So this can be seen when you're shopping on Amazon and then later when you're on Instagram and advertisements have been targeted at you for the same thing you were searching for.
The final reason that websites may use cookies is to track your movement from one website to another. For example, we see this with websites that use a social media link. So you can go from one website and go directly to a social media page. This is commonly known as a social media cookie. So that gives you an insight into the reason that websites and apps use cookies. But remember, you can deselect any cookies you do not want on your device or turn off cookies in your browser. Here's an example of how you do this. The first thing you want to do is go to your settings. If you're using Safari, then you want to go to your Safari preferences. However, today we're using Google Chrome, so we're going to go to these three vertical dots and scroll down to settings. Once you get to your settings, you then want to go to cookies and other site data. Here you have 4 different options to select from for how you want cookies to be used whilst you're browsing different websites. So you can allow all cookies, which will allow you to log into websites and put items in a shopping basket, and which will also allow advertisements to be targeted at you. However, you can block third-party cookies in incognito, which means that you can still put things into your shopping basket and log into certain websites. However, third parties whose identities are concealed cannot put cookies onto the websites that you're browsing. So this means that ads from those third parties cannot be targeted at you. You can then block third-party cookies, which is very similar to this one, apart from the third parties aren't incognito. And then you can also block all cookies, which means that items may not be able to be put into your shopping basket. You may not be able to log in to certain websites. And really, your experience on the net may be a bit limited. So, for example, if I wanted to log in to YouTube, which is something both Grace and I need to do to make these videos. So if I go to sign in, and type in our email address, as you can see, I'm forbidden from signing in. I can't do so because I've blocked all cookies. I need to enable cookies in order to be able to log into YouTube and post these videos. So you may want to consider what this means if you do decide to block all cookies and how it may limit your internet experience. Another good feature that you'll find in your settings is that you can also add certain sites that you don't want to ever use cookies. You can just simply type in the web address and say that this is the website that I do not want to ever use cookies, even though they allow all cookies on other sites. So these are really good things that you can do on your settings to control and have autonomy over how cookies are used whilst you're browsing the net.
So, can the use of cookies in the ways we've just outlined breach your privacy? Well, cookies cannot be used alone to identify individuals. However, where the data contained in the cookies can be linked to a name, postal address or an email address, then that information will amount to personal data and be subject to GDPR and Data Protection Act 2018.
The unique ID and personal traits that cookies collect can also make the information personal data under the GDPR. This is because if you take different elements that you know about a person, you can create one big picture to make them identifiable.
Since we've established that cookies can be subject to the GDPR and the Data Protection Act 2018, in order to not breach your privacy, websites are now legally obligated to tell you that the cookies are there. They're also obligated to tell you what the cookies are for and what they're doing. And they also need to get your consent to store a cookie on their website. And so every time you go to a new website that is compliant, it pops up with the consent message.
Yes, the usual approach that websites have taken is to have a cookie policy and a cookie banner which allows you to select and deselect the source of cookies you want.
The Information Commissioner's Office, who are responsible for ensuring that organisations comply with the law on cookies, stresses that websites must give you the options to agree or reject the cookie.
Yes, so they shouldn't just have allow or agree as an option. There needs to be the option to block or reject as well. Here you have the perfect example of a cookie banner. You have the ability to allow and disallow, and you also have the ability to select and deselect the sort of cookies you want to have on the particular website. So you have your strictly necessary cookies, which are always active. So these are cookies that allow you to log in and fill out forms. Then you have your analytical cookies, which you can select and deselect, and your targeting cookies, which you can select and deselect. But you can also say that you want to disable all. So, should you keep accepting the cookies?
Well, on the one hand, cookies are integral to the way that the internet works. On the other hand, they can also be a cause for concern when it comes to security and privacy risks.
Yes, however, it is important to know that cookies are not viruses. They cannot execute actions on your computer because they are made up of plain text.
You probably do not want to block all cookies because that would really limit the quality of your internet experience. Also note that malicious cookies are not protected through antivirus software. So to protect yourself against malicious cookies, you can use a specialist software to do so.
So that brings us to the end of our video. You now have all the tools to make an informed decision on whether you want to accept cookies or not.
Thank you for watching. Let us know whether you will continue to accept cookies and whether you've had any problems with cookies in the past. And we shall see you in the next video.